Welcome everyone to Mailfuzz TV. I am Peter, and that is the Ghost of Christmas Future Connor.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
You look so bright.
It wasn't like that last time. Nothing's changed.
You're so bright, except somehow the ginger hair just stays ginger. But yes, Connor's here too. This is I was going to be talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 18. It's called Starship Mine. So, full spoilers for the episode. Oh, he's kind of fixed it. Oh, that's better.
That's better, yeah.
It's all about. It's getting worse gradually.
It is getting worse, isn't it?
Anyway, this is it's a very diehard episode of Star Trek, and it's kind of funny how it's had a couple of diehard episodes in this show. When you actually stop and think about the timeline, this is only a couple of years after Die Hard 2. I'm sure when it did its first Die Hard episode, it was probably before Die Hard 2 and just a little bit after Die Hard 1, given when the show started.
It was the hot new thing.
Yeah, because Die Hard came out in 88. This show started, I think, in 87, I want to say. So, yeah, it was very contemporary at the time to do Die Hard episodes, I suppose. Although it's still a tradition amongst a lot of TV shows to this day.
It is. They still do it. And it was kind of weird for me. I watched this, I think it was the day after Christmas, maybe two. So I was, still in the Christmas time of year. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, look, it's a Die Hard episode.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Die Hard this year, so.
Not that I watched it last year. I did watch a bunch of Christmas movies, but I didn't get around to Die Hard this year because I overdo Die Hard a bit. So it's some years I need to take a year off. That and Home Alone, I could easily do that every year, but I just the variety is always nice. Not this is a Christmas episode by any means. This is honestly it's a pretty light episode with maybe a couple of dark moments that maybe if you stop and think about them a little bit, but otherwise it's a fairly light episode where Picard's on the ship. He's on his own pretty much because the ship's been emptied because they're doing this clean of the ship. It's something to do with using the warp drive. It builds up these particles every so often.
What I'm getting is this is the equivalent of all those movies and episodes of TV where they have the bug spray people coming in to fumigate the apartment.
It kind of is, yes. It's basically that. But so they do this sort of scan which cleans the ship, which is just basically like a laser field that moves through the ship slowly, and it sort of gets rid of all these this build up of radiation that could become harmful over time if they don't scrub it every once in a while. Simple enough. Makes sense. So everyone's off the ship, and there's a lot of comedy because they all don't want to because the station they're at, there's this guy who's notorious for just being annoying and talking your ear off with small talk. Hutchison, I think his name is, and there's a lot of comedy about dealing with him and sort of pairing data with him early on, and then Picard needs to get his saddle because he hears this horse riding, which he only wants to really do because it gets him away from Hutchison because he doesn't want to be around him.
But also, he is a serious enough rider that he has his own saddle, so...
Well, this is a joke that's repeated numerous times, is every single character who hears he's got his own saddle, at the ready, has to question it.
Is it just me who thinks it's not that weird to own a... if you're into horse riding, and assuming, he grew up on a farm, right? He comes from, a vineyard, but, farm-ish. It's the countryside. They might have horses.
It's farm adjacent. I'll agree.
You're farming grapes.
You are, but you don't call a vineyard a farm typically, do you?
You don't, but it's a subsection.
It's yes.
Not all farms are vineyards, but all vineyards are farms.
Yes.
I can buy someone in that environment grew up riding horses, on the regular.
I don't know debating that, but everyone's just surprised he has a saddle, which I think is a bit weirder because he's on a starship. Right, and so how many occasions is he going to have to whip out the saddle?
All I'm saying is he clearly takes his saddle into the holodeck with him.
Having his saddle at his vineyard, right, in the house at the vineyard, that makes sense because the horses are there, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but having, I don't know, it's maybe one thing if you've got a set destination, say you're a pilot, right, and you're out horse riding, and you're flying from country A to country B, but you're going to be staying there for a couple of days, and there's a ranch there that you want to go visit. So yeah, maybe you take your saddle with you on the plane. But it's another thing to have a compartment in the plane. No, my saddle is always on the plane with me. That's where the captain's saddle goes, and it never moves.
Just in case. What if you suddenly run across horses?
30,000 feet in the sky.
I mean, when he lands, obviously.
It's just, I think that's the surprise they're all getting at. Now, I don't necessarily think it's that weird either. I've also never met anyone who has a saddle, but that's...
I mean, I have, because I know people who own horses, but...
Oh yeah, sure. I don't really know anyone who owns horses. It's a thing that some people do and go to a ranch on a regular basis and horse ride. I've never ridden a horse myself. It's what
I've been
it
on a
is.
horse once.
Did you like
call
it?
Riding. It was more one of those just guided walks.
Yeah. They didn't trust you.
Oh God, no.
horse would have kicked you off.
Oh, definitely. Don't blame it.
But yeah, so Picard goes back for his saddle and catches one of the, one of Lady Hansgruber's group sabotaging something, and ends up on the ship alone with them, running around doing the Die Hard stuff. And that's pretty much it. There's obviously some, even right down to the there's like a reveal, because we find out that they're after the trilithium discharge that comes out of the engine and the reactor, and that can be used to make explosives. So like, all the episode they keep calling them terrorists. And the twist is actually, male spoilers for Die Hard if you haven't seen Die Hard, but the male twist is like, nah, they're not really terrorists, they're just thieves. Like, they just want to make money. That's all. It's all just about money.
I kind of saw it coming again, because how many times have you seen Die Hard at this point?
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, they're doing it to a T. Like, like the exact motivation is just the same.
Well, I think it's because when Picard calls them terrorists, because there's even a point, much like Die Hard, where he's got a walkie-talkie and he's talking to the terrorist, much like Hans Gruber talks to John McClane in Die Hard. He calls her a terrorist, and she goes, "What makes you think we're terrorists?" As soon as she said that, you're just this is not terrorism then. In the strictest sense, like it is like an act of terror in the sense that it's causing the trouble, but
they're not collecting it to create bombs for their own political ideology.
No, they're just selling it to other terrorists so they can make money.
Yeah, that's way better. That's what every other arms dealer in the world does.
They don't necessarily all steal. I mean,
no, but they all sell.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's basically a Die Hard plot with the added fun of a sort of laser field slowly moving down the ship, which we don't. Of course, it's because it's Star Trek. Like, I think the disappointment of this, because this is a fun concept, but this is Star Trek on syndication in the early 90s. I'm not going to get a cool visual effects shot of someone being disintegrated by this laser field, which is what I want. They have to cut away and we just hear a scream. And unfortunately, even though I wasn't expecting it on this show, but you set it up, you put it in my head, so I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to see it actually go through someone.
I agree. I at least appreciate people did die to it though, and it wasn't just everyone came through fine. Don't know, it was all bad guys, but at least some of them got disintegrated.
Well, I think that's one of the things we have to talk about in this episode is Picard, either directly or indirectly leads to several bad guys dying this episode. And the first one is the one that he kind of lures into like the ducks, and he doesn't necessarily lure him there to trap him for death, but he sees the force field coming and he shuts the door so that the bad guy can't see it when he gets away. And then he's running away, he hears a scream, and he is Picard, so he sort of turns and sort of feels a moment of like, I regret that had to happen. But so there's that. And at the end of the episode, the two main, like the main baddie and our main henchman get away, and he's holding like it's like the safety, because basically this stuff is like nitroglycerin, but they've got like a stabilizer thing on the container to keep it stable. But Picard's like taking it off, so he's like, they're not going to get very far, and then you just see their ship like flying away, and then just goes boom, right outside the window, and I'm just kind of like again, I get why he did it. It was the right choice in the sense that they're taking like a dangerous bomb device that can be used by really bad people to hurt innocent lives. Ultimately, yes, and in terms of law enforcement, the right choice. But I feel like this is like more of a body count than Picard usually whips up, especially in a light episode.
It is, but like you say, it's like, what else is he meant to do in most of these situations? Either let them go, and if he doesn't leave them for dead, they're gonna kill him. Yeah, well, he almost. The only reason why he doesn't get killed by the force field coming for him is because it just so happens that the others have like managed to regain control of the station and get out of their own little hostage situation because they're basically the Christmas party in Nakatomi Plaza.
You know, they're being held guard by some guys with aliens with guns, and that's
more terrorists, I believe, is what they're calling them.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, and even Riker at one point is like, "This is strange. They've not made any demands. There's no political demands or anything else. Like, what do they want?" So I'm like, they just want the bonds, the millions of dollars of bonds in the vault.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Which can only happen once the FBI cuts the power. It's
kind of exactly the same. It's like you gotta wait until the ship's powered down for this thing. Like,
well, that's the thing. The reason why this whole plan is happening is because all the power in the ship, including all the commands and the communications, are all powered down for this clean. So that's why it's such a like, oh, Picard can't just call out to people, you know, sort of thing. It's only once the force field thing's been turned off right at the end. That he's, well, actually he kind of calls to them before that, begging them to turn it off, but I think before that point, like, yeah, like the bad guys have got control of the station, so
yeah,
it would be useless.
It's probably one of the most shameless Die Hard episodes of anything that I've ever seen, in that, like, it's, you know, beat for beat motivation, everything is there.
But yeah, without it being like, because Brooklyn Nine-Nine did it even more on the nose, but that gets away with it because that exists in a world where Die Hard is a movie and the main character is a fan of Die Hard, so it's intentionally poking fun at the fact that he's getting to live out Die Hard.
Yes.
This is all a bit different in that this is not really, I mean, maybe Die Hard existed in this world, you know, centuries ago, but it's a classic. That just makes this even more coincidental. This is all from a meta perspective. This is all just watching it and going, this is shamelessly a Die Hard. And it's a relatively fun one. It works well enough. It's entertaining pretty much the whole way through, but at the same time I don't think it ever goes above a line where I'm like really excited by what it's doing, because it's not necessarily doing anything special with its Die Hard in this.
It's not. It's very, plays it very straight, but I have very little to complain about beyond the fact that, like I say, it doesn't elevate itself into special territory. It does nothing wrong at any point in the episode. It's always enjoyable.
I'll give you one
go on.
critique, right? It's not a big critique, but it's a critique. Is they spend so much time in the first half of the episode, right? So Data's trying to do small talk, and it sort of teases the guy everyone doesn't like by Picard saying, "Hey, you should try it on Commander Hutchison. Like he's
watch him. You'll pick up a few tips.
You'll learn it." And then we find out everyone else doesn't want to go, to the point where there's even a funny scene where Picard's getting annoyed at Worf and Geordi because they keep saying "sir" and like they've got more things to tell him. And then the last thing that Worf jumps in with is, "Hey, may I be excused from this like get together?" Which, by the way, just means Worf's not in. Like, I was half expecting. In fact, speaking of, because what I'm about to get to is things that don't really pay off. I was half expecting a payoff to Worf not being at the party, where he's like somewhere he ends up helping because maybe he shows up and
no, he's just having a day off.
He's just having a day off, apparently. Not necessarily on the ship because the ship's about to be evacuated, but maybe at the party, maybe he would eventually show up to and then be the turning point of the fight or whatever. I don't know.
This doesn't bother me because it'd be really weird if he did show up, given that he got excused from going and didn't want to be there.
Yeah. But then Geordi tries to ask the same thing, realizing that he can, and Picard's like, I can't exclude all of the command staff. Worf beat you to it. He gets the, you know, and this would maybe sound like a slight dick move, except Picard admits that he also doesn't want to go, but he has to because he's the captain. So he's letting off one of the lieutenants. Sorry, Geordi, Worf, get in first. Like, you have to go. And he's like, shit. So, and yeah, there's some comedy here with this guy. He's like talking people's ears off. He's just doing small talk.
I did quite like this, Data just watching him and like mimicking the hand movements
and the face and the smile and all that. And then he goes up and tries it on Beverly. He's like, "Beverly, can I call you Beverly?" He's like, "Would you believe? Would you know?" And he's just waffling on, and all that's very amusing. And then Hutchison's like one of the first guys that gets knocked out, and like that progresses. I really thought it was, from that point on though, it all doesn't matter. The fact that Hutchison was ever a character in the episode is irrelevant. He never like wakes up and like his talking someone's ear off never like becomes like a jokey way to deal with the bad guy later or something. It just like, it could have never existed. The fact that Data was learning small talk from him also never, like, it's not like Data uses what he's learned from him against the bad guys either. It just never comes up again in the rest of the episode. And it only sticks out because it's okay for like a silly B plot not to interject with the A plot. Like, that's fine. But because it effectively just cuts off halfway through the episode when the hostage situation starts, I was expecting it to somehow just play in some small way by the end, and it never even came up. They never even mention him again after that point.
I guess the answer, really, and I'm not saying this is satisfying, but I think the answer ultimately is because it's not a B plot, it's a gag. That's just one extended gag with Data and this other guy. That's all it is.
So the ending gag at the very end of the episode, when they're all back in the ship and they're seeing Picard's medical issues, and the gag they choose to play up again once at the end is the saddle, where Worf is surprised they had to go look for a saddle. Would it not have made more sense there to do a payoff to the Hutchison gag, given that that's the one that we've not heard, that was so heavily focused on for half the episode and then disappeared? Would it not have made more sense to like have a gag where he says he's going to come aboard to see who everyone is, and then Picard's like, no, that's okay, we're gonna get on our way, or something, just something, some little bow.
You
at
could
the
have
end
done
of
that, or you
that.
could have had a Data starting up some small talk and everyone being like,
No,
quick, stop him, something along those lines. Yeah,
which, don't get me wrong, it is funny that Riker ultimately has the idea, I'm going to introduce Hutchison to Data, and we'll see like how that goes, and then they just talk non-stop at each other, one-upping each other in small talk for seemingly hours, or however long it is before the hostage situation starts. So
it can't be too long, but a bit of time.
They're definitely impressed. They're impressed with how non-stop it's been. The actual hostage situation, once it gets going, is Geordi gets hit, and the whole plan just revolves around like Beverly tinkering with his like visor to like create a flash, or maybe it was like a sound that would basically just neutralize everyone in the room except Data, who would be unaffected by it.
Yeah,
and he
pretty
can
much. And
work his magic.
Just deal with them, and jobs are good. And
yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of depth to it. There's not really a lot of depth to this episode. Maybe outside the minor point. In fact, not a Die Hard parallel. Picard pretends to not be himself. It's because John McClane in Die Hard,
he pretends to be the barber.
Yeah,
in this one.
I suppose it's maybe more comparable to Hans Gruber pretending not to be the main bad guy in Die Hard. But even John McClane doesn't give his real name for a while in Die Hard. It's not until later on, because he's called himself Roy over the walkie-talkies, so they won't know who he is.
And again, it's been a few years since we've died. They don't know he's a cop right away, do they?
No, I think like Al on the outside suspects he is because of like the way he's giving him information. He's like, he seems to know what information to give us, so I think he's a cop. Yeah, that was like one of the bits.
Yeah, but I don't think they know inside either at first.
No.
I think it's when they find.
No, it's Ellis. No, it's Ellis who tells him.
He's he give it away? Yeah.
Yeah, because he tries to win him over and say they're old friends and all that, and he's like, "Don't be an idiot, Ellis. They're going to kill you."
Yeah. So again, it does parallel with that still pretty nicely with Picard there.
Hans, buddy, booby. What's he call him? Something like that. He's like, oh, Ellis is such a yuppie. It's
yeah.
It's an okay episode. Like, it's perfectly fine for what it is. It's not going to be memorable or win any best ofs by any means.
It's memorable by sheer fact that it's the Die Hard episode. So you go, it's that one. I don't think it's not the best Die Hard episode I've seen.
No,
but it's fine. It's enjoyable enough. I think I enjoyed it slightly more because it was this random surprise at Christmas time.
Oh, sure. Well, I just happened to fall at Christmas for us.
Yeah, exactly. It was this pure coincidence of timing that it was this nice surprise that meant I enjoyed it slightly more.
Yeah, and people say Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, but the mere fact of doing a Die Hard plot when there's nothing Christmassy going on makes it feel Christmassy.
Yes, and again, we're not getting into the debate of whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but the fact that the debate exists means your brain will link Die Hard and Christmas. That's just a fact.
It's the naysayers who made the debate though, because everyone who just thought of it as a Christmas movie just like talking about it as a Christmas movie, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere in the last few years, it's not a Christmas movie. All this gatekeeping started. It's not a Christmas movie. You're not like call it a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Do you think about Christmas? Yes, because even if you don't think it's a Christmas movie, you're still thinking about Christmas now when you're thinking about Die Hard because you want to make your point too hard. So, yeah, this felt Christmassy by extension.
I'll go one step further. It's more of a Christmas movie, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Bold claim.
I'm sorry. How many Christmas songs or how many times is Christmas mentioned in It's a Wonderful Life? Do a count. That's all I'm saying. Do a count. The results may surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's an angel. There's an angel in Die Hard. What do you think Al is? Al's his guardian angel.
I don't think I can argue with that either.
See, it's genius.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've solved it. Debate over, folks.
All right, this is Star Trek: The Next Generation. Very light episode, not a lot to add to it, but reasonable fun, but nothing super memorable either. So there you go. As a next gen episode next, before we go back to Deep Space Nine, and that next gen episode is called Lessons. And here's the description on IMDb. Picard falls for the new head of the Stellar Science Service Department, but has feelings of misgivings when he's forced to assign her to a dangerous mission. Oh, it's a Picard romance episode. This could.
Uh-oh.
I feel like the episode that introduced Vash was very not good, but Vash had some interesting appearances after that episode.
Yes.
So there was good to come of it, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But there you go. That's our thoughts on Starship Mine. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. All that stuff helps us out a lot. As does, of course, supporting the show and the channel by heading over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us over there for any amount every month. You can get the episodes a little bit early if you want, and other things like that. And yeah, but that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek, and somewhere out there in Nakatomi Plaza, Wesley Crusher. He's the Ellis. He's not. I'm not going to compare it with John McClane. He's the Ellis.